Welcome everybody to the meeting of the Greenfield Opioid Use and Prevention Commission. Meeting will be called to order at 5:20 p.m. This meeting is being recorded by the Greenfield Opioid Use and Prevention Commission in the city of Greenfield, and the chair is utilizing an artificial intelligence note taker. If any other person present is doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Yay. Perfect timing. We're doing roll call. Right on time. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call. Abby?
Oh, there it goes. Here.
Yams?
Present.
Anna?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, and Jenny is present as well.
Here.
You, okay. Can I hear a motion to approve the Opioid Use and Prevention Commission meeting minutes from September 15th, 2025?
So moved.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
We have no one on Zoom, so we can just do doing the roll call. We don't have to do the roll call, yeah, because nobody's on Zoom. That only occurs when there's a member on Zoom. All right, so any public comment? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go right into old business. We want to welcome Liz Wynot to our meeting today. She is the Senior Program Officer for RISE Massachusetts. Floor is yours.
Do you want me to talk into the mic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Liz Wynot. I am the Senior Program Officer for the Mosaic Municipal Training and Technical Assistance Program, powered through RISE and through grant through BSAS. I started this job in June after working for a long time at Tapestry Health in Western Mass. And Mosaic took over the contract from CareMass, JSI, starting on July 1st. So since July and June, we've been doing a lot of work to build what municipal training and technical assistance should look like and can look like. It's been a really, really interesting experience, just learning about municipalities and learning more in depth about the opioid abatement funds and how money is going out, learning about like the decisions that are being made and just kind of understanding it all. And I really like it because it's just focusing on such a micro level. I really like working with municipalities and just people on the ground. And so it's been really interesting. And we're continuing to develop. So just a little like of where we're going, we're doing a hub and spoke model where RISE is considered to be the hub. They have a pretty, they've been around for, I want to say like 7-8 years now. And since that time, they've gathered a lot of resources in a broad array of topics related to opioids, and in a lot related to best practices. So for my role, that means that RISE is kind of will be the center of the like the content experts, I guess that we're calling ourselves. And then we're going to bring on spokes for different parts of Massachusetts. In addition to my role overseeing the program, I'm also the spoke for Western Mass, which means that I'll be continuing to work with communities throughout the 4 counties. And we are about to sign contracts with 2 planning agencies. I don't want to say who because the contracts haven't been signed yet, but they are agencies that already have a lot of established relationships with municipalities and a long history with working with local government. And so those agencies will be the spoke for Central, Metro West, Northeast, and Southeast. And the idea is for myself and the other humans, that are part of the spokes to, I see a lot of discussions happening because the opioid abatement funding is so new. And so it's going to be really interesting to just continue to discuss the hurdles and challenges and success stories and barriers and as things continue to roll out, like just, what is evaluation going to look like? And then all municipalities, they have to report by November 1st to DPH about the spending of their opioid abatement funds, and that will all be made public sometime, probably in early 2026. It'll be on the BSAS website. And so when that comes out, all of that information will be publicly available. And so there will be a lot of discussion in response to that, I'm sure, because all of the public will be able to see what each municipality is doing in a sense. So that's kind of the background. And one of the things that I'm doing a lot of is any municipality can reach out to us either through email or through a web form that's on our Mosaic website. And they can ask for any sorts of question that they want. And then usually I set up a Zoom meeting with them and support them along the process. I am meeting with the two people who work for a municipality in Eastern Mass and tomorrow, and they basically are saying, like, we need to develop a plan. We have to go through in front of our board in April. There's a bunch of questions, like, can we meet? So a lot of times it starts off very general, and I see our role as hopefully developing as just a support and to talk through. And there's a lot of questions that I don't have. There's always going to be questions I won't have answers to, but I do have, better connections, I guess, on the state level, and just being able to know municipalities. I'm also gaining knowledge of what people are doing. And like a couple of weeks ago, I talked to a woman, reached out through a web form, and she lives, somewhere in Eastern Mass. And she reached out because her and her husband started a parent support group through their ministry, and they started it over a decade ago. And she has been doing it all volunteer, and she lost her son to an overdose and has, about 20 participants, attendees come. And so she was just asking about how to tap into her town's money. And I just found that really, I want to find more of those people, because there are a lot of people that are hearing about the opioid crisis or just the money available for the first time. So we really want to support and grow the community, I guess, and really everything that we do, it just in the principles and the guidance, it's needing to remember why this money is here, and that it is the community's money, and everything that we do as a training and technical assistance are trying to work with municipalities long term, because they're here, this money is going to be here for well over a decade, but long term to hopefully move communities closer to understanding that. The biggest principle is always talking to communities about the necessity for interacting with people with lived and living experience, which is something most towns, at least that I've interacted with, don't really understand that. So it's also like a lot of education and just a lot of relationship building and really meeting people where they're at as municipalities, because there's very liberal to very conservative, and lots of, conflicts, and it's just like anything else. So yeah, it's really just kind of taking it as it comes. So I know that's very broad, but again, I'm so happy that I get to stay connected to Western Mass in this way, because I really I'm pretty passionate about people who are connected to opioid, just have a history of opioids in their life, you know, I've been around for a while too, to kind of see how a lot of things have played out in different municipalities and politically. And so, so I can provide support in a variety of ways. We, we don't, we don't do the, like, for an example, I can provide support on helping you think through a community needs assessment, just for example. We can't do the community needs assessment, but we can help with, I can help with, just being an ear and providing feedback. I can, you know, just ask just questions, and gather information from you and talk about what other municipalities are doing and give you ideas and, hopefully like help you to make connections and, you know, just be that support. Community listening sessions are something that people have reached out for. A lot of people reach out to ask if something is allowable or not. And often that will lead to discussions about how to best reach the community. Evaluation is something that will be really important. Ongoing evaluation, how to be transparent with your community, support around media and talking to your community about what's going on. And just a variety of other topics. Yeah. So like another municipality around here recently reached out because they're interested. A lot of unis are interested in doing mini grants directly to organizations and or directly to individuals. And so that's been a really cool thing. And right now it's extremely disjointed because municipalities, you know, they come up with this idea and then they're like, who else is doing this? I don't know how to start this. And so that's the idea of trying to bring everybody together. And another thing, I know Greenfields is a big enough, well, another thing that we're really focusing on across the state too is increasing collaboration, not necessarily through joining money, adding money to the, you know, bring money together, but also through information sharing. So I'm thinking of something like if the region, if there's a lot of ideas popping up for how to give money to individuals, you know, it's an interesting thing that to talk with different municipalities and support them in a way to help them get toward having the money available to people who really need it, and also having that trust about people who use drugs in the community. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Liz? Abby?
Thank you, Liz. That was really helpful and informative. I would like to know is there like how often you meet with folks, or like, you know, is it just like whenever there's a need, we call you, or is there like, I can only do like once a month, or?
That's going to be interesting to feel out, because this is brand new for Rise. I've just been taking calls across the state, which is a really good way to get to know the community. And then as I continue to focus on Western Mass, I hope to be able to be like physically present at meetings and be able to respond to whatever the community looks like. So I will have to be strategic in terms of what like the focus on. Like I mentioned, one of the focus from the states is supporting municipalities to regionalize, and whatever the way that means. There will also be a focus after the reports come out to really respond to communities that haven't done a lot of planning and spending. And so we'll have to see in a way, but I'm hopeful with the spokes that we'll be able to support each other as things roll out so that we can be there. But what that looks like is still to be determined.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for
Oh,
Liz? Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, just one more thing is we still collaborate really closely with the Mass Association for Health Boards.
Yep.
So there, I know you have experience
Yeah,
working with
Cheryl
them.
Sabaro, yeah,
Cheryl
yes.
Sabara, so.
Yeah, she helped us a lot.
Yeah, so I talk to them almost every day. They're amazing, and they focus on working with municipalities around legal, administrative, finance things that just are technical and that need somebody that's very educated in municipal law and dealings. So they're wonderful. I've really enjoyed working with them. So that's another support.
Thank you for reminding me about that, because I did for a second forget about Cheryl Sabaro. I can never forget about her, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
super helpful, and it definitely that legal administrative finance piece, because, you know, I'm not a finance wizard, nor do I want to be. Anybody else have any questions for Liz? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be in touch with you. Thank you for stepping up in your role, and we look forward to seeing what you could do. Oh, wait,
Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. Thank you.
Um, yeah, I want to first thank you for coming and taking the time to really explain to us and anybody watching or who will watch what you do. It is really informative and really helpful to kind of have more of a solid idea of what that is and what that looks like for our community and across the state. Um, I'm wondering what the collaboration like through information sharing, right? And with different municipalities, has that been something that's already happened? Like you've already seen the groundwork of that between other municipalities, and like what does that look like?
Good question.
That is a good question.
Mm.
And just to be transparent, a lot of it is still very disjointed, mostly, I think. But gosh, that's a good question. I feel like, so I think around here, I hope it's hard because I don't know every single like smaller municipalities in the rural region. But there's Western Mass is the very extremely underfunded region, as we all know. And there's a lot of rural towns that have received a small amount of money. And there's also an opportunity to provide education and also try to bring hopefully like try to support communities and coming together, because the money will go a lot farther if, for example, the administrative oversight lies with one community instead of each individual ones. And information sharing is really important. So for example, like me coming here, trying to organize maybe Western Mass is really good with opioid task forces, but this kind of representation like that across the communities and trying to provide a central place. We also will do a lot of webinars, in-person events when we're able to bring people together and information share. We did an in-person event a couple weeks ago, and the public health director from Gloucester shared her model around how they developed a way to provide money within their region because they're part of their shared service agreement. And she shared, just for example, like models that can be replicable and have been very successful for her. And a lot of, I've shared her PowerPoint presentation with at least 3 or 4 other municipalities in the past couple weeks. The Greenfield model is talked about as being a gold standard across the state. So I hope you know that, like, people are paying attention to this, which is cool. So I've shared the not the slide deck yet, but the agreement with other municipalities that are thinking about how to form and how to set up government or just a decision-making structure. So it's things like that. Yeah. One other thing, sorry, that is going to be very important is each region is going to do some form of a CAB, a community advisory board. I don't know what that should or will look like in Western Mass. I think it has to be really like from the community. And there's already a lot of community advisory boards that exist. And it's for all 4 counties of Western Mass. with the idea of, I think the long-term goal of supporting what we're just vaguely calling the community to be a source of obviously information and information sharing and try as a way to stay current with what's going on the ground. And then also hopefully to provide structure, whatever resources so that the CAB body can at least provide feedback or whatever about how the money is being spent in their region or across the state. And that feedback will go to the state and then the state, you know, so it'll be like an organizing thing like that. So that's to come, and I'll be I'll be reaching out more when we're ready to start thinking about that in the next couple months.
Any other questions? Oops, sorry, any other questions? Thanks, Liz. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll stay for a little while.
Okay, yeah, and you don't have to move, you can sit there. We're low threshold. So I want to be mindful about Mayor Jenny's time. Do you want me to ask the commission if we could, suspend the rules so that you could, if you have something? Okay, so I'm gonna ask the commission, can someone make a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules in order to allow for Mayor Jenny to do what we need to do. I don't know.
Thank you, excellent.
Second.
Yes. Okay. Roll call, aye. The floor is yours, Mayor Jenny.
I'm just going to speak in general about the financing part. I talked to Stephen a little bit about this today. And so I was the treasurer when I was on disability access. And I used to have to call Angelica on a monthly basis to get the report. And then we pushed it back and did it, I don't know if it was like to 3 times a year or something. But I said, I'm going to come tonight just to explain a little bit about like where we are and why Stephen's actually not here tonight, just so you get a little flavor of what's happening in City Hall right now. Because we had like, I don't know how many public records requests on parking lot usage this month. This week, I think we got five public records requests, and they all they were to the finance office on how much revenue came in. And so because it's quite busy right now in finance on a whole nother realm, we took that over the mayor's office to answer those questions. And so what I wanted to say to you was, in all likelihood, Stephen will not be here until December, just because of the way the fiscal year goes. And I wanted to kindly explain why, because we asked for an extension with the Department of Revenue to finish closing out the books, and that happens sometimes. And then in November we'll be setting the tax rate, and that's what's happening on the fiscal front. But I also wanted to explain too, like I was looking and I said, oh, maybe I'll bring a printout over tonight. And then I looked and I thought, ooh, those things when I came the last time and we all voted on the orders, which we did. That's not, reflected in any of the accounting yet because we haven't subtracted it yet. It's there, but it hasn't been done yet, which is a frequent thing in municipal accounting. There is nothing whatsoever wrong with that. Orders are done and they are frequently accounted for later in the year. Every single one of them happens, and they are, they're sent off to the Department of Revenue, and some of them happen, towards the end of the fiscal year. This was all new to me too, taking over as being a mayor, but I said, I'm not even bringing the printout because but I wanted you to know that. Because I thought, right now, I didn't have time before I got here because there was a leak as I was coming out of City Hall. And I had to take a picture of that and send that off to somebody because I didn't know if they knew that the bottom of City Hall was leaking. And, but because the numbers weren't accurate, I didn't bring that over. But I do think uh, Stephen can explain more, but I appreciated your question. And I believe it's wonderful that we will want transparency in this, which it will be to the best of your ability. Municipal finance isn't exactly like your own, it doesn't look like your own checkbook. It's an account, it has an account number, the monies come in, I look and see when we get an ace, I check it occasionally because we keep getting deposits in it, and you can see CRP will stand for credit. And mostly that's what's happened there because there haven't been any withdrawals, and we haven't withdrawn the things that were withdrawn yet, although they were withdrawn from the general fund was what has happened. And they will be withdrawn after from that. There was another question that was asked by you, Sarah, about setting up a separate fund after that was, I forget what you called it, it was began with an H, the Halo.
Oh, the burial fund, but I just want to, can I just pause you for one
Oh,
second?
absolutely.
Just for the record, I just want to, state what, what you were discussing, because it's
Oh,
actually,
yes.
it's
I'm
it's part
sorry.
of new
This is
business. No,
for the
you're all right.
benefit of, I just started talking without people, for those of you who are listening, I didn't start off explaining that. I forgot that. Go ahead,
No,
Sarah.
you're okay. It was my bad as the chair, because I should have said that before. And it's item C, which is discussion on incorporating a periodic financial review of abatement funds received by the city.
Mhm.
The review would present total income, itemized expenses, and timelines for allocation. And then the next thing that you're going to be discussing is is on old business, which is discussion of burial fund. Commission will discuss whether or not to contract with a third party to administer the burial fund. That was an item by Member Thoreau, who is not here. But if you wish to speak on that, Madam Mayor, please do.
Say the last thing again. Because I don't
It's
have
the discussion of the burial fund.
Oh, yeah.
Commission will discuss whether or not to contract with a third party to administer the burial fund, like the Halo Fund, because that's what the city of Boston did. They subcontracted out to the Halo Fund to distribute the funds for that and to receive the requests.
Right. I don't really have a position too much on that. I did alert, I don't have a position on that. If you want to do that, our two bigger places, I talked to Smith, Kelleher, and Kostanski's already know. So whatever you want to do with that, I'm okay with. And as far as how often you want to do reports, I would do it with twice a year, but if you want to do it quarterly, nothing happens all that much. And being on the other side of it, I would say you all work in a couple of different things. Think of the folks that are on the other end pulling the things. But we will do whatever this board decides, but Stephen will be here at your December meeting, not for November.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that,
Thank you, Jenny.
I wanted
appreciate
to make that clear, and I wanted you to understand why. And I didn't bring a paper with a report on it tonight because we hadn't subtracted anything yet because we're working on closing.
Anybody have any questions for the mayor while she's here? Okay. Thank you, Ginny, for coming and explaining that. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to, having the continued conversation with Stephen about, the periodic financial review. And I just have one question for you before you off the hot seat. You're not really in the hot seat. So Is it possible to have that part of the open checkbook in the city that any citizen can go and look at the city's budget and that's sort of, that's very transparent?
So I used to look at open checkbook as a city councilor. Um, it's still there, open checkbook is there. Open checkbook isn't like Munis exactly. They're a little different.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of city employees that don't even know about open checkbook. Have you ever looked at that?
I have, and I meant to look before this meeting to see if if the payments from the burial fund that we'd made
No.
would have showed up.
No, they couldn't have.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think that they could have. They would have come out of if they have, I mean, those entities have been paid. They've come out of the general fund. I know for a fact because I looked at the account. And they haven't come out of that account. So they haven't, you know what I mean, tallied up or true up to the account, I would say. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. There was one other thing and I don't know if we answered that, but while it's on the tip of, while it's in the front part of my brain, I do know that Catherine, our accountant, went to, she took one of those webinars to make sure that, you had suggested that. And she's like, oh, no, I already signed up for that to make sure that all the, proper accounting for the end of, because this is actually new to everybody, it's wonderful. And you had mentioned too about Greenfield getting in there and signing up for Purdue or whatever it was.
Yeah, there was Purdue and 4 other manufacturers settled.
Right.
And as a member of the Attorney General's Substance Use Council, we got
Right.
the word that those were pushing forward. So I just shared the information
Right.
to the city because so though that means is there's more money coming into our coffers.
There's definitely
And
more.
they gave us an estimated money, so we won't know until actually the check hits the bank, what
Right.
exactly Greenfield's going to get out of those 5 settlements.
Right.
But we could be looking at, I think it was like 600,000 more
Mhm.
estimated. And so as soon as that gets official, I know that, I think to have communication from the city around that to make sure that this commission knows when that happens, like when it hits our account, so that we'll have a fair assessment of how much money we have.
So all hands on deck when it comes to watching. Sarah was sending me something. You sent something. Gordon, our attorney, he keeps sending things, if there's anything from Purdue Farmer or any of them. There's a lot of checks and balances to make sure that that nobody misses a beat. And that was something else that did still need to be signed. And then I have somebody else come in and check to double check. Have I got this right? Did I do this exactly the right way? And Anna, kudos to Anna. She went the extra mile and was writing something off to the Attorney General's office to make sure that could we send this form in or whatever. So thank you to everybody on that. Really.
Team effort, love it.
Yes, it's actually how a lot of things get done. It's that teamwork. There's no I's in team, are there?
Abby?
Thank you for coming and giving us all this information. So, sorry, I just want to clarify, like, my understanding was that when we had, or you, Sarah, had gone into the city council, there's a separate fund, so the money could be, so it's like a separate account, is that correct?
Definitely
Right?
is.
And so you're saying like the burial money was paid out of the general fund, not out of that account yet, and then they have to do adjustments to the account, and there's a
Right.
delay in that happening, right? And
Yeah, that happens all the
yeah,
time.
so
Yeah.
I'm familiar with finance. I do a lot of I've worked a lot in financial situations and
Right.
stuff, and there's like, like even my organization, there's a 2-month delay in the reports. Like, so
Right.
the reports I'm reviewing now are from 2 months ago. It's not current,
Right.
right? So that's basically what you're saying, that like
That's all.
the reports are just They're not current because that's the way accounting works.
Right. So if there's, I forget,
you
if
have
there's
to hold on.
500,000 in there, I said, oh, if I brought that number that said 500,000 and then, say if it was like, I don't know, 520,000 and next month it was, I don't know, 504,000, everyone would say, well, what happened to that? And I'd be like, oh, that's what, that's what happened 2 months ago. We voted on
Right.
something. That's all.
Right.
Yes. So exactly.
And so I'm also wondering, is there like a schedule of payments? Like, so that that the city's receiving in? Like, do you have like,
Mhm.
because I know they vary, right?
Right.
The payments vary every month. It's not or yearly or something like that's not the same amount every time.
That's correct. They're from different entities. They could be from, it's from CVS or Purdue Pharma, or there's all different, I'll call them culprits. Maybe that's not the right thing to say, but all different entities that were found to need to pay, and they're all paying on different schedules.
Mhm.
And generally speaking, it's known what the payments are going to be, and they have a schedule.
Is that something that could be made available, the schedule of payments, so we can have an idea how much is coming in? I mean, that would be, I think,
Mhm.
helpful.
Okay. Okay, we'll see if we can get that.
I mean, I think what I'm getting at is like, I have a financial background.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
seeing the schedule
Mhm.
of payments coming in, knowing what we've approved to go out, even though those reports
Right.
are a couple months behind, we can look at those and have a pretty good estimate of where we stand and how much we've spent
Mhm.
Yeah.
out of that fund. And, obviously when Steven's available and he can come, we can get a firmer number, but that could help our decision-making as we're
Absolutely, I agree.
Go
That makes
through.
perfect sense to me because you're trying to decide what programs you want to be funding. I totally understand that. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I'm sure Catherine knows exactly what they are.
And Liz, did you had something? She had something to add about the.
go ahead.
I just want to give her a minute to.
There is a municipality opioid abatement lookup tool. It's
Mhm.
it's on the Mosaic website under resources. I can share that with the website with the group.
Thank you.
But it's an Excel document that was created, and there's a click down menu on this Excel sheet where you can select Greenfield and it'll show you everything.
Oh.
Yeah, except for the
Yeah.
new.
Except for the new, yeah, because
Important.
I've been on that website, so I'd be happy to share it with the commission. Thank you for reminding me about that, because I totally forgot that it's there. Yes, it's there, so we can, I will forward that to the commission,
Okay.
so that we have,
That's really
Uh,
helpful.
yeah, I love that they did that because
That's helpful.
well, that's what the Attorney General Maura Healy did. That's what she
Mhm.
put in place. So her full accountability is every quarter, the municipalities have to report, what they have, but also there's that
Mhm.
schedule of payments that's already figured out, except for the 5 new ones. That's the one thing that we don't know yet.
Mhm.
But that excellent questions, Abby, and I appreciate your expertise in finance, because don't have that expertise,
Well, general knowledge, I would know.
but you know more
Yeah,
than me.
They do that, they do that from so that's good. So you're going to do that? You'll send them that?
Yeah.
They do that from the schools as well. So they will tell you, you're getting this much from the circuit breaker, and they tell you every year you're going to get it, and you're going to get it for over 4 payments. So you can count on it for your spending.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good idea. Thank you.
It's hard
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
decisions if we don't know.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Thank you.
agreed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jenny.
And thank
Uh,
you, Liz.
Any other questions for Mayor Jenny? Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. So I believe that we are now on old business B, which is community needs assessment, to review a community needs assessment across other Massachusetts municipalities. I'm wondering if the commission would entertain tabling that until Michael is present, so that we can have a full commission to look at. And we give folks some time to kind of look through those needs assessment, because there were 6 of them, and thanks to our regular guest for providing me with those. 6 different municipalities, their needs assessments, the questions, surveys, the other surveys. So Can I hear a motion to table this until next month?
I move to table the discussion of other municipalities' needs assessments until next month. And also with apologies for writing Massachusetts municipalities when I realized there was one from New Jersey as well.
So may I hear a second?
Second,
Okay,
second.
all in favor? Unanimous, so we're going to table that until next month. The, now we're on to old business C, discussion of burial fund. Commission will discuss whether or not to contract with a third party to administer the burial fund. Any comments or discussion around that? Anna?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick it off. I would like to see us contract with a third party to administer the burial fund for a couple of reasons. I think, starting with the mayor's description of how things are in City Hall and just that this is the type of administration where the burden of the labor does fall on the municipality, which doesn't mean that we can't do it, but I just think that things would actually run smoother with a dedicated administrator. What was really encouraging to me about the presentation from Halo was that Halo kind of developed itself in response to the Boston Public Health wanting an organization to do just this. So in other words, we wouldn't have to sit here and be like, what would be a good local organization that could do this? We could just say, we are looking for someone to administer and then provide that opportunity for an organization to come forward under the parameters that we want. The other thing that I liked about their model was that they did, they just had a budget and parameters in the same way that we kind of already have talked about. So it's a little plug and play on the money side, but then they also have their staff who are very well connected to the community and are providing I guess, care in a more direct sense as they're administering the funds, right? They're meeting with people in a horrible time in their life and, they have that bedside manner, they have connection to other organizations and other sources of help. So to me, it seemed like both, on a practical level, a good system, and also, in terms of our broader goals, could probably have a bigger impact. And per our earlier conversations about just that, a group like this can't be super nimble, right? Like we can't set up a meeting with just a couple days notice to go over something. So willing to be convinced otherwise, but that's kind of where I fall down on it right now.
So can I just ask you a quick follow-up question to what you, so are you imagining, like we would create an RFP for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor Denny, you had your hand raised?
So who did they have on it? Like, and did they put like, did they just, they created like a bank account and put so much money in it? And then did they have their Halo group? Was it a couple of people or?
Yeah, I believe it's an existing organization called Bullpen.
Yep.
And they put together, this sub-project within their organization. So imagine one of our existing agencies in Greenfield saying, okay, we have this burial fund project. And then they had a budget and it was reimbursement based, but it was a sort of trailing reimbursement where they gave them a little bit of the funds up front. But that way, they do have to be able to front some of the money to make the payments and then the city can pay them back.
Yeah, so I believe the Boston Public Health Commission still approves like the request, or does the Halo? I'm trying to remember.
I think they more had a periodic overview, like they
Okay,
met
yeah.
quarterly and went over all of but that Halo was empowered to make the decisions in the
Gotcha,
short term.
yeah. Abby?
I think that it's too early. Sorry, I think it's too early to make these kinds of decisions. Because well, first, I guess I love what Boston is doing. I
Mm.
think the Halo project is beautiful for Boston, but Boston is very different than Greenfield.
Mhm.
And I think that that needs to be taken into consideration. I also have to think about cost of that versus like, like, is it just so that we don't have to do more work? Or is there going to be a real cost benefit to having that happen? Is it going to really be like quicker for what, how many folks are going through the burial fund, right? We've capped it at, I believe, $50,000 a year, something like that.
55?
Or 55, some pretty close to
Yeah,
that.
yep.
So, and each family or each recipient was also capped, so roughly 10 a year distributions if everybody was at the max. And with the costs of funeral expenses like we saw for the ones that we've already authorized, maybe 10 a year. And so I'm concerned about two things. One, the cost of how much it's going to cost us to have that administered somewhere else, and if there's a real need for that, given the low number of, payouts a year. And then the second thing I'm concerned about is that I feel like this commission is operating like kind of backwards a little bit, like we're making quick decisions and we're all not really even clear on how we're going to work together. So it's like, I would feel more comfortable figuring out how we're going to work together and what our decision-making processes are going to be internally with this commission before continuing to make decisions and feeling rushed. I feel very rushed to make decisions, and I don't think that that's a good way to go about it. There is a clear parameters around how this money is supposed to be being spent, and I feel like it's like, take a breath. Make sure that we're clear on how the money is supposed to be being spent. Are we in line with that? Are we setting things up in a way that can continue on too? Like, we don't want, 2, 3 years from now, oh, whoops, that's
Yeah.
where I'm feeling.
Yeah, thank you for that. No, those are very good points. Any other, Yams, go for it.
Yeah, I kind of second some of those sentiments, as well as like I know that we as a commission aren't fully represented yet. We're still missing 2 seats. So like these are some of our, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, like big ticket items, burial fund. And so getting into the brass tacks of like, first of all, I want to just say like for what we have done in terms of the burial fund, I think we've done a really excellent job, but I think it's time to just kind of like slow it down just a wee little bit. I would like to see us have more of a formed commission before we start to like solidify more and more things. I understand the sense of urgency because it has been a long time where the community has waited. But I don't want the intentionality of this group to be lost in the effort to provide something. That, yeah, that I would not feel comfortable with. I also feel like making a decision outside of the fact that we're not fully formed as a commission without knowing, given the climate of everything happening federally, without knowing and talking to other organizations and seeing if they have the staff or the ability to take on something big. And, kind of like that. Yeah, I would want to pause on that. I would want to see if there is a local, maybe it's not Franklin County, but in Western Mass. I don't know. I would want more information before I just make a decision. I think it's good to have a discussion, but I think discussion on whether or not to contract out, like it just seems very like yes or no. I guess maybe that's just how it's written. I do believe we need to be discussing like what each thing could look like, but I'm not at a place where I feel like I would be ready to make a decision one way or the other at all. I personally would need more information on either. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for the conversation, because, my understanding is just a discussion. We're not, I wasn't anticipating a decision tonight about that, because I'm in agreement with Abby and you, and that we do need an infrastructure. We need to create things so that we have that public transparency. That's super important to me as well. And I think, just discussing things, right? To know like kind of what the landscape is. And like you said, the burial fund was kind of like, there's an urgent need, but we can take a step back now and really pull back. We will have a new member next month. Pedro was voted in by the city council on Wednesday. So Pedro Alvarez from Tapestry will be joining our commission. We still have one more seat, so I'm hoping that community members will send in their applications to the mayor, or to send an email saying, hey, we want to step up and serve so that we can fill that last seat. Abby?
I believe there were several community members that did submit a letter of interest.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering what happened with those. And,
We-
and I like, I'm not sure the process with that. I know that they go to the mayor's office and then what happens from there.
I'm assuming that the mayor will forward them to the chair, and so that we can, like we did with the other respondents that we've seen so far. Those are the only ones that I've seen, so maybe the mayor can kind of give some insight
So-
about that.
Have you, I think I gave to you anybody's name that came forward.
So, well, that in the beginning, but
Hasn't been anybody
there
else.
hasn't been anybody else. So there
Anybody
was only
whose
two.
name I received, I gave to you.
Yeah.
So,
Those few that
So we
were
had two.
in the,
Yeah, we just had two. If there are citizens that that are saying that they've submitted,
yeah, let's
Um,
just,
yeah, they said they
maybe-
dropped them off at the.
so maybe we should, I don't want to be having a discussion about people's names in front of, while
Oh,
we're
yeah.
thank you.
at all. I do not think it was two, though, however, I do not think it was two. So that doesn't. And so let's make sure of that.
Yeah, well, I have in here, so I can check them, but I believe
Okay.
that I only received two. I mean, there was more than that, but two of them fit the last seat that's remaining.
Okay,
That
so,
was my
so,
point,
so let's
yeah.
go to, oh, okay, so
It was
you
the
had more than
lived
two,
and
you had more
livings.
than two.
Huh?
You had more than two, correct?
Well, there was Pedro. We already
Wh-
know because I'm not going to name names, but but we know that he's voted in. But there was only two applications that we received for the seat for the lived experience that's left. We only have two.
So-
Abby?
I just want to get clear.
Yeah.
Community members would submit to you how? Like
Is it-
through
They would write an email,
email,
or perhaps they could have dropped in something off.
drop it off at the clerk's office?
Hmm.
Clerk's
Yep.
office.
And
And
I
then-
shared any of those applications that I received with Sarah.
Right, okay, and then that's brought here. That's the
Yeah.
packet that we had gotten.
Yep. Yep.
And
Okay.
nothing's been received since. That's
Nothing
what
has
I'm
been
understanding.
received since. And so I did not know, like, lived experience or not lived experience. I actually always want to make sure, like, I have somebody else check, because I want to make sure that I'm not making a mistake,
Mhm.
because all of you set up the, how you wanted this committee to be. So to me, it was sort of like a hot potato where I'm trying to pass this along. No, I'm going to tell the truth. I talk like this. I want to make sure that I'm passing this along to someone else. So now I'm sitting here going, no, I think there was more than two. People were talking about two with lived experience, and I don't actually know that. I'm not remembering that, but I'm remembering more than two, okay? So, but I want to definitely make sure because this is one of my main jobs is filling these boards and commissions. And I love this one because it was a new one that started with all of us, and we did such a good job putting this together, you know, not, I'm not going to take any credit for it. You all take credit for it. So, but we need another person and I don't, so anybody, if I missed anybody, but I don't think that I did. I think I passed them right along because I couldn't wait to give them to somebody else.
Yeah, I have them all here, so, I confirm that there's,
So what happened, then once like, I remember sending an email to you, then they go to before city council, is that what's happening?
so when we,
That's
when
what-
we,
yeah,
just
city council.
when you sent, you know, your opinions, right, to me, and then once I was done, I sent it to Ginny, and then goes to appointments and ordinances. And then appointments and ordinance, it's a subcommittee. So it goes there, they, look at it, they give the thumbs up, and then it gets sent to council. And then once it's in council, they vote it up or down, and then that's it.
I just want to talk about the time frame on it, which most people don't know, and we actually are working on that so that the people themselves know what happens. So when the people submit saying that they are interested in it, and from the time that their name goes down to the city clerk for appointment, it's 35 days from that day until they can be sworn in. It's not 35 days from the day it goes to the city, council. It's from the day it goes down to the city clerk. And generally, so like for the November meeting, I'm looking at the November meeting and thinking the city clerk likes to know by, I'm going to tell you this because if you have any more friends or folks that you know,
That's good to know. Let us know, Jenny.
I'm going to tell you this because as soon as the meeting ends, it's like I find it there's a lot of pressure on this. So chairs is November 4th. That's when all the committee chairs get together. If I have a financial order or an appointment to get to the clerk's office, I have to have it to them by 5 p.m. on October 28th. And otherwise, it will go on to December chairs meeting, which means November 25th. So if somebody sends an email saying, I'm interested in being on some, commission, in this particular one, because again, I don't want to get it. I don't have this huge fear of getting something wrong, but in this particular one, it's not just, there's another parameter with a lived experience, okay? But we want to make sure that that's the case. I'm going to run this by the chair of the commission. So they not only have to send the email in, but there's another step with that. So it's October 28th. And then, that being said, then they might possibly be for the November meeting, but could not be, But we're doing a better job now notifying the people. I don't know that we're doing a good job notifying people that they're not appointed, but we are telling them the whole step process as soon as it comes in. We're letting them know and letting them know the time frame.
I love that, Jenny. When I was listening to you, I was remembering way back when I threw my hat in for the Human Rights Commission.
Right.
And, the first round, I heard nothing. It was frustrating because, if you're putting your stuff in there, like you want to give service and then you don't
Right.
hear anything. So it was, a lot to be desired, but I'm happy to hear that the city is making an effort, to streamline that, right? To let folks know exactly where they are in the process.
Right.
That's helpful.
Well, I actually would love to fill this last seat as well. Because what we do after you've filled the last seat is to let the other people know who put in an application that the seats have been filled. It's
Mhm.
kind of difficult. Um, you know, uh, when you still have an open seat.
Mhm.
We're all humans, people have feelings.
Mhm.
So it would be great if we could fill that last one. You can understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We
So-
appreciate you. Abby?
Sorry, can you just clarify the 35 days that it is from when they drop the
No,
email? No.
It's
when-
from the day that we send it down to the clerk's office. Now, if we get this in a timely fashion, if we get something that comes in, if it's a person that isn't a qualified applicant who meets this criteria, that would be the goods, a good fit, and we get it down by Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Got
5
it.
o'clock.
Okay.
Right, 5
Um,
p.m. Let's spread the
then
word.
35 days from that day.
Got it.
And mind you, they have to get it in by 5 o'clock, but I also have to have another conversation here. So it isn't just that, because I am not going to put a name down unless I know that this person fits for this category. A lot of times, like for the cultural council or something, I've been reaching out, which, by the way, we've done a good job. I reached out to all the members of the local cultural council, I think, and I was like, we really need people, and they did a great job, those folks. They, reached out to their friends or folks that they knew in the arts that lived in town. And we got some people, but I didn't have to, you know, you know, I, I don't mean this, that it's not a bother by any matter. It means it's just going to take another day or two. So, because I want to get the right person for this board, that's what you wanted.
Thank you. I appreciate knowing
Mm-hmm.
the chain, how it operates. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And it's great to hear that Pedro will be joining us.
Yeah. Excited about that
Eh,
too.
And I want to say, Sarah wrote to me and I didn't answer. She sent me a text. I didn't answer her back. And I'm going to say this out loud in a meeting. Don't feel badly. My sister wrote to me and it took me a whole week to answer a text. That's how busy it's been. My sister.
I give you grace, Jenny, always, 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 always. Trust me, we're all super busy, but you're the mayor of the city, so definitely understood. So back to the, if it's all right with everybody, can we go back to old business C? Because it sounds like we want to table that. The discussion of the burial fund.
The third party.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to table that.
Okay, can I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Alrighty, so we're gonna table that. And then we are moving on to new business. Abby, would you like to start us off by talking about A, because I think some of these came from you, and thank you for that thoughtful email. Would you want to start us off with new business A, which is to discuss approach to public outreach about meetings and events in order to develop a formal process?
Right, so we've talked a lot about it already tonight, the importance of having the voice of folks with lived experience in the decision-making process. And though we have folks on the commission that have lived experience, we do not represent all the people or even the majority. And so I think that it's our responsibility to have a better process to get folks involved. I talked about this last meeting, how the city has a certain way of notifying about things that are happening. And that process is not reaching the folks that we would want to hear from. That's a good way to put it. You know, I'm not somebody who's even familiar with government, city government. You know, I live a very busy life myself, you know, and so like, you know, I was driving by Silver and Federal yesterday, I think it was, and there's a sign that says that we're voting November 4th, and I was like, what? You know, and that's like, I'm in the public, I'm out here, I'm doing work, and I still was like, what? So I think a lot of people are just missing the information, and you know, the organization which I work for, we do what we can to get the word out, but we're still limited as well within our organization, and we're only reaching the folks that are engaging with our organization. So last meeting, I think it was, there was an idea floated about collaborating with other organizations and folks in the city to not for like fund sharing, but to get the information out, to can we,
Mm,
my organization can't be fully responsible, you know, like you can't be fully responsible. Like, so if we can figure out a way of like tapping in to the other known places where there are people with lived experience, the intersections, which we know from the work that we do, a
mhm.
lot of these places, if we could get some kind of partnership going or communication funnel going, you know, I just really think it's important that we have more than just us for information. And I'm so grateful for the one community member that's been coming,
Mhm.
but we should have a full room. And if not a full room, a way for them to get the information to us, because not everybody, we have to be mindful about, you know, the barriers that exist for the people that we're trying to get the information from. And I think that the current way that we're doing it is not mindful of that. And so I just, yeah, wanna talk about how do we do that?
Jenny?
I'm actually really glad that I came. Um, so I think that's a really, really good point. So I'm just going to talk about, like we were talking about, first we were talking about membership. Because I sat I was in on a Sunday. Maybe it was because, maybe I started trying to fill up. I forget whether it was the, what's the local culture and what's the other one? Crossroads. And I'm thinking, how are we going to do this? I don't know any, I'm not the least bit artistic. I don't know like any of those folks. And I went in the office to clean the office. I actually don't like typing or cleaning. I think I get tired of cleaning. So I thought, I sat down and wrote to each one of the people in there. Because I thought, how are we going to do this? And I sat down, I thought, I can't write to the group. So I did them one at a time. And then I did actually do the copy and pasting. And that actually helped with the membership by writing to each of the members of the board. So on the city side, we struggle with the very issue that you said right now about how to reach the people in the populace. We talk about this all the time, and we have a new communications person who's fabulous. And he tries things that I don't even know about, that I don't check. I've seen some of the things and I'm like, wow, that was really clever. When there's something happened at the trash station and he had a picture of like Oscar the Grouch coming out of the trash. I thought, how do you do that? Like, how do you make like an animated, like Oscar the Grouch coming out of this? You know, I don't know how people do things like that. So he knows like different things like that. But still, in general, people would need to know to check onto that website, right? They would need to know like they need to go to Instagram or those other things. So I'm going to say this: you all work in a different, and again, you might not want to hear this, but I would think that you'd have to say if you are you were with Tapestry. I'm picking on you because you were one of the first people that came into my office. And I remember thinking, we have to get going with this. We have got to get going with this. I was worrying about your agency. I remember that. And I thought, we've got to figure this out because they need something. And it was very compelling. But I would think that each person would have to say, I would do this and one other to make sure that those were notified. I don't see how anything else happens other than somebody going, I'll do this one and this one. I'm 73. It's been a long life. It's getting longer the older I get because this is a tough job. I don't see any other way it happens other than people saying, I'll do this one and I'll take the red one. And I'll notify those two people because I don't know how else it happens. Me on this election, I sat down and I'm like, you know what, I kind of care how this goes. So on Monday, I'm like, I'm knocking at my own. I was really tired. And I got up and I went around and knocked at my own neighborhood because it really does happen one at a time. And I'm thinking, I'll talk to her right after this ends because I got some cards in my bag. That's kind of how it goes, one at a time. I think that's the only way. However, if you have a suggestion for me, the city will help. If you want, you know, I'm not averse to any suggestion that anybody has. So if there's a, you know, if you want Jonathan, our wonderful communication director, to send something, you know, like I'm not averse to that as long as Jonathan says it's okay, you know, because he follows all these guidelines. But, you know, and now we have OCPF too there. They're on us, but whatever. I'm happy to do whatever it was, but I don't see another way for that happening, but I certainly could be wrong.
Any other comments? Yams?
Yeah, I love the idea of like doing that, having something more face to face, person to person relationship building. I also would love to see, and I don't know what the parameters are about commissions having like their own separate Facebook or social media accounts.
That's a good idea.
If that is something that is like we could discuss as a group and, you know, have set something up for a way for people to interact. And I'd like to have like a multifaceted approach where there is, you know, social media access where people can, you know, maybe send a question, or we can post, hey, reminders of like when we're meeting and what the discussion will be. And when we have things like listening sessions that are happening in the community, that's something where we can get that out, another platform where we can get that out. But I would also like it to be multifaceted and not just to focus on social media, because as we know, you're not reaching everybody even with that. There are plenty of people that are not on social media for a myriad of reasons. Either they choose not to be, or there's an accessibility. There's a lack of accessibility that prevents them from being able to do so, or at least on a regular basis. So, yeah, although I would like that to be a component, I don't want that to be the primary objective. I think it would be great to do something that is outreach based, like as a commission, literally like just going around and talking to people, and maybe also like engaging with other community organizations as well. Not even maybe, I would love to see us do that. I think that's also very much in line with how we build the relationship in order to get to a place where we can do some information sharing. And being mindful that like you have to build that relationship, right? It's not only with the people with lived experience where we need desperately their voice. This is who we are. This is why we're here. But it's also building relationship with the organizations in town as well. So we're doing this as a community effort, right? This is a community response. This is people helping people. I don't know what all that looks like, but that's kind of what I would like to see is like more presence on social media so we can get more of the word out, transparency, maybe even posting stuff like on the boards. Like, yeah, it's not fun, like all of the events that, you know, happen at some of our venue spaces in town, but if it's right there, accessible, posted, where you would see other things posted, we might be able to reach people that way. Yeah, just I could go on for a pretty long time, but I'm not going to. All right, thanks.
Abby.
So I like what you were saying about multifaceted, and that's really, like, I just sketched some stuff while we were all talking. Because I don't think it's a do one thing and that solves it. I think it is multifaceted. I think it starts with education and using plain language. The processes for like just coming into this process was really challenging for me. Like I didn't, understand or know the process. I just was like, okay, I gotta put an email in. Like I didn't even know what you had just explained to us, Jenny, about like the third, like it has to go here, then there, then it gets voted on by, like I didn't know that process. So I come from a framework of trauma-informed
Yep.
approaches.
Mhm.
And so letting the community know in plain language that can be understood by everybody, here's the process, or here's what's being discussed, or here's what's happening, here's how you can get involved. And then, as Yams was saying, outreach, but I think outreach, a multifaceted piece, in person, social media, building relationships with other organizations as a commission.
Mhm.
So like, I think we all have relationships with other organizations, but like as a commission, and then the notices and flyers, there's that screen in town, the little screen that's
Yep.
in the common, I don't know what it's called, but there's ways that I think we have to hit all the ways, to get the information out, and then creating multifaceted ways to receive information back, because not everybody is going to come to this meeting.
Yep.
Not everybody is going to feel comfortable writing an email, but they might feel comfortable walking into Tapestry. We're just going to keep using that all night. Walking into Tapestry
Yeah.
and having somebody there help them to, put something in a box that's, and I think you're right, Jenny. Like we are the people that are going to have to do
Yeah.
the footwork on this. So
Absolutely.
like coming up with like, here's the avenues that we're going to do to get the word out. Here's the avenues we're going to do to receive.
Mhm.
Here's like, and pick a day. Like we meet on whatever Monday of the month this is, on the following Monday, we're gonna go do this outreach, or take turns, like this month it's me, next month it's, Yams, or something like that, so that it doesn't all fall on one commission member or the other, that it's really shared amongst us. We're all super busy, but it's important. So, yeah.
I agree. And I love the suggestions and like you, Abby, I was fervently writing stuff down, of ideas, because what I'm hearing is outreach, face-to-face outreach, multiple modalities of getting the word out, whether it's the screens. Abby, you must have read my mind because I was thinking about drop boxes, like in spaces like the Salvation Army, the community meals, and before that, maybe having one of us, go take a community meal. You take Monday, I'll take Tuesday, and then go and just table there. And so that we can talk and say, hey, we're gonna put a Dropbox here. this is when our meeting is, if we understand that folks aren't, until they get comfortable, coming through here, creating those sort of anonymous, right? If they want to be anonymous, they can drop something in a box. And then I was thinking about the partnerships of like sharing the information, because we have wonderful resources here, as we all know, because we've all seen them, right? The FCR net, I'm probably saying it wrong, but Opiate Task Force is great. Like, their membership is, I don't even know, like in the tens of thousands of folks that get the newsletter. The library, having somebody like stationed at the library and put a Dropbox there. So I really like everything that we're hearing. And so I'm wondering if folks want to, because we have to have a strategy, right? Like we're discussing things, so we have to have a strategy. So I'm wondering if folks were okay with, letting this percolate and then sending me an email of like, one, which piece of that you're comfortable with, what is that maybe you consider your strength? Like, hey, I want to do this, and then we could start like coordinating it in real time. But just, it would be helpful to me to know which one of these people kind of have an affinity for. Um, I like myself, I like face-to-face outreach. I like connecting with humans. But I also have the other side of me that, I can create flyers, I could, do that stuff. But I really just want to hear from you, because it's not just going to be me, as everybody said here, it's all of us, including Anna, the city support, like, you know, thinking of what we could put on those video screens. Announcing, hey, we're going to have drop boxes here, here, and here. So that's to get the word out about that. But also when our meetings are, because you have a really good point, Abby. Most of our folks are not going on the city calendar to find the Zoom link because they don't even know it's there. And I fell into that myself with the subcommittee for the unhoused, because I forgot for a second. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have the Zoom link. And I'm sitting there, and Larry was in there. So I texted him. I'm like, could you let them know I can't get in? But if I didn't know somebody in the meeting, and then I so busy, it just slipped my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, duh. I could have looked there, because I do know, but we can't make that assumption, right? And meeting people where they're at means where they're at, including the folks who are unsheltered. And, paper, handing somebody a piece of paper, right? Like they may not have electronics, they may not be able but to have a physical paper that has some information, and we may need to make flyers like monthly to have the information so that folks will have it. So what do folks think about that? About, just, we're not going to make a decision tonight about this, but that's, I would like for folks to send ideas, what they're willing to do. Jenny?
I also want to offer the city, as far as making a flyer, if this is something that you like I know we're all very busy. I do have a person that does communication. So we're happy to make a flyer if you have an idea of something that you would like for something in particular, something happened. We have a flyer and we have a printer and ink if there's something in particular that you want. I just want to offer that.
Thank you.
But I have one last thought for that one last individual too that we want, because for all other boards and commissions, we ask for somebody to send in their information and a resume. All I want is a little email that says, I'm interested in this, and a little something about yourself. So we try to relax this one. So all they need to write is a little note. I'm interested in this, and a little information about yourself, enough so that you would know.
Thank you.
To try to make that as warm and welcoming as possible.
Yeah, that would be super helpful, because I imagine it would be intimidating for some folks. Like, I don't even have a resume.
When I went to be on planning board, my first thing I went up, I said, I'd like to try that. And then they were like, write a resume. And I thought, I'd never done that in my life. I had to have my neighbor do it. She goes, I know how to write resumes. Everybody does not know how to do that. My neighbor did it. And when I read it, I sounded good. She knew how to put them together, but I had no idea how to do that.
All right. Go ahead, Abby.
I agree with what you're saying about percolate with this a little bit and then send an email to you. Do you have like a time frame you're thinking? And I was thinking when you said paper, I was like having both digital and paper.
Yeah.
We did a survey for our funder and literally in what, like 2 days, we went and got 114 people to fill out the survey by doing like street outreach, having it digital and having them fill it out right on our phones.
Excellent idea.
So it can be really powerful, but you're right, like having both is really important. Some people are not gonna want, like our funder now moved to digital only, so we don't have printed paper ones. And that was a barrier for folks.
Yeah.
They were like, what? You know, they wanted to take their time and look at it as a whole versus like the, you know, one question, then the next question on the, so yeah.
I love that. Thank you, because that's an excellent, I never even thought about that, of bringing, phones, or if people have iPads or something larger, that would give a little bit more screen room, but that's an excellent idea, because you never know. I mean, people may not want the paper thing. They might be comfortable with digital, if we have a digital device with us, when we're doing the outreach. I think that's an excellent idea.
So
Go ahead.
it's the window of opportunity.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're
absolutely.
there and you're
Mhm.
speaking with somebody
Yep.
about like, hey, we want to get your feedback. It like
Mm.
having the opportunity to give it right then and there
Yeah,
is like really helpful.
absolutely. As far as time frame, I mean, I think for me, I think 2 weeks is good enough, because that gives me time to organize it a little bit so that in time for November, so that when we have the November meeting, we can look at what we all came up with, and I'll make sure Michael's going to review the video. I'll make sure that Michael gets everything he needs as well, so that he can be looped in pretty quickly. Yeah, 2 weeks I think is good. If you're feeling like at any point you're getting stuck, just email me. It's not a hard 2 weeks. I'm just using that as just I also need deadlines and timeframes, or they just goes on and on and on. So I've leaned into that with myself, that give me a deadline, please, please. So yeah, 2 weeks. So if we're done with this part of the conversation, are we okay with moving on to the next item? Yeah, no? Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so and then B is also Abby's suggestion. Thank you. And I'll just read it for the record. Discussion about establishing a clear commission framework and solidifying internal processes before launching additional initiatives. And I know we talked a little bit about it, but the floor is yours, Abby.
Yeah, so we did just talk about this, I feel like. Yeah, and again, like I'm mindful it is 10 to 7 right now, and so maybe we can table these and like think about it as a group. I don't know if everybody's even had, an opportunity to think about this, but so right now we're talking about how do we get information to and from community, but then once things start flowing, like take the burial fund, for instance, the process was just messy, right? Like that's how I felt. There wasn't a clear, like, okay, when a request comes in for funding or a request comes in for this is how
Right.
this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna, take, I know that there's like general meeting structure, like the new business, Rogers Rules of Order. I know all that, but I'm talking about like, the next level, like,
Yeah, now what? You're like, you have a, if you have a policy, or like the burial fund, that's a good example, right? Like, so then what? Somebody requests it, like, there has to be a streamlined process, like, we haven't even created an application.
right.
So, I agree, and I think some of it was imminent, and we did the best we could, but no, I agree. I think that having stuff that's structured and codified, so the public knows it too. Hey, this is a process to get the burial fund. Here's the application. Because we haven't even touched on like dispensing funding. We're anywhere near that. And I agree with you, Abby. I think that as a commission, we can create these documents that we work with, and how we work with each other,
Right, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How we're gonna work with each other in this commission, I think is important because we are gonna be reviewing requests, dispersing,
Right.
you know, making decisions. We're not gonna disperse the money, you are.
Right.
Making decisions, you know, and having community partners coming in and giving presentations, and it just like having some kind of like, this is how we're gonna work together.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't have an application for the burial fund, right? It's like having a process to ensure that we make an application
Yeah,
and
that's what I
that we
mean.
do all the steps that we need to do, and that everybody knows the process, the time frame, the timelines, you know, so like, you know, if a request is received within 30 days, it's going to be brought, you know, into our new business. If there's not, you know, just feels like the old business just keeps going on and on and on and
Yeah.
circling back around, and it gets very, I don't operate well like that.
Yeah, no, I
personally.
hear
really
you.
don't.
And-
I'm a
and-
very
and-
structured systems person. My brain works in systems and structure and routine, and like that's where I thrive. And so I'm finding it really challenging to
No, I,
do the work this
I
way.
hear you. And I think, you know, I would tend to agree with that as well. That I'm also the same. I'm a systems and structured person, and I like to have things, transparent and structured. Uh, you know, that's number one. And yeah, so, and any other comments about this topic? Anna, and then EMs?
And I also don't mind tabling this for later, percolating on it as well. Yeah, I guess my thought on this is that it is messy, and that is the only way that it can be, because we are literally building an airplane while we're already in the air, right? Like quite literally, we're figuring it out. So yeah, I definitely I agree with every single outcome that you guys just stated that you want to have in terms of processes, in terms of transparency. And I just think that the way we're going to get there is somebody's going to propose a process. Somebody's going to propose a structure, and we'll try it, and it'll either work or not work, and we'll amend it from there. And I'm actually really glad that we the burial fund is different, right? It's specified in the ordinance. So we already kind of had a mandate to get that rolling. And then, as you guys said, like there was, imminent, we wanted to respond to people's needs. But we, yeah, we have not even touched our broader process of allocating the funds, and I think that's okay. It feels like there's two different energies, both pushing and pulling at the moment. I mean, I want us to, I want us to be moving forward, and I also I'm hearing folks both wanting to move forward and also wanting to slow down, which is a little confusing, and I think that is just where we are right now.
EMs?
Yeah, it is nice to have structure and like to have that, I guess, that like an informed processes by which we're like kind of operating, right? And so it also, I would imagine people who are engaging with the commission and what we're doing and, on Zoom or coming in kind of know what to expect. It's similar to like, you got 35 days from the time it goes downstairs to the clerk's office to A, B, C, D. I do feel like there are moments where that's going to be more lofty than it is going to be realistic. I do feel like given the work and also like the big tasks that we have ahead of us, like we are going to be circling to old business quite frequently. But I do also see us like slowly developing the processes by which like we're doing the framework for this, for that, for this. And I think it's going to look different. So I think like as we have like new business, and as we solidify some of our old business, we're going to, like, in a very, I really like that, building the airplane while we're flying it. Like that might be what it looks like for a while, because this is so new and it's so new across the state. So it's all of us in so many municipalities doing the exact same thing, building the airplane while we're flying it. I love, wow, I'm really gonna use that. But I also hear the, like, the need for having some framework to create that safety, like not only for us as a commission, for us to know, like, okay, how are we navigating this, but also for our community as well. And I think that also, like it was stated, yeah, it will look like a push and pull process. I mean, growth is tricky that way. In my mind, it's not linear, it is cyclical. So it's going to look like that sometimes. And I think that's okay. I think we're doing pretty good, y'all.
I agree, we're doing the best with building something from scratch, essentially. I definitely like Anna's, the image in my mind, it is totally true. So again, I'm gonna ask folks who, we all create these conditions, right? We all create them. There's not gonna be one person that's gonna create the process for every little thing. So I just want to state this for the public record. Um, Send me a proposal, right? And it'll get on the agenda, right? If you have an idea, right, that you want the commission to look at for that process, we all have our skills and strengths here. And I think we can collaboratively do this, but if anybody has any ideas that they just would say, hey, maybe we should try this for this process. I just wanted to say that, I'll be transparent about that. Please send me your ideas, because that's how the commission works. We're all going to work together. And I think that's the little baby steps forward, right? Is saying, hey, I have this idea for this. Can we have it on agenda and let's talk about it like we're doing now? It does feel kind of wonky at times, but what Yam said, it's not going to be a linear process. It's like the old business is going to circle around until we vote it, and then it leaves old business. Once we vote on it, it's gone from the old business, but that takes time. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to a full commission. We have everybody here, so that we can really, start rolling up our sleeves about this particular process. Abby.
I in no way was trying to imply that it was taking too long. If anything, I feel like we need to slow it down. Like, I am not trying to, I'm more of a whoa kind of person right now on all this. And I understand the need with the burial fund, we had things, it was imminent. It was in the way that we designed this commission, but I like what Yams was saying about the way I put it in my head was a framework for the whole, and then within that framework, we're creating sub frameworks as things come up. So I'm not talking about creating very specific frameworks for all this stuff, but just our general framework that allows for sub framework adjust and review.
Gotcha.
And obviously things are going to take, as long as they take to get through the process, but having some general structure on for instance, these proposals, this is the second time you've asked us to create a proposal. We were supposed to create some proposal about something else. And I think it had to do with the surveys, but I wasn't really clear about what that proposal was even supposed to be. Nor did I submit a proposal because I don't even know what the heck you're talking. I'm not going to go write a proposal. But we do have to work together as a commission, so what happens? So I'm sending you stuff stuff goes on the agenda. Like, how are we working as a team to create this framework? Because that, I would love to see that happen. Are we going to talk about it? You know, so like, that's the framework that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, because the way that these, my understanding of city commissions like this operate,
Mm.
and the way that I'm comfortable operating maybe are two different things, right? And we are asking folks with lived and living experience, non-professional folks, to participate in this commission, and like, it needs to be more accessible. It needs to be like, there needs to be better transparency. Like, I got a huge packet and watched a video, and here I am. And I'm not at all feeling confident or comfortable with like understanding the process at number one. Like, I'm just learning the process, but then to be making decisions and not having clarity on, and I know you said like, we're not going to spend our time as a commission to discuss that, but we need to. Like, and the clerks are busy, I'm busy, like I work an obscene amount of hours, you know? I can't be running down to the clerk every time, like preparing for all this. Like, you see what I'm saying? So like, we
Right.
need to come up with something that's accessible, that's clear, that's like structured, like this is the process from start to finish. This is the city's process. This is our process, because we're adjusting to our process to fit those that may not be, have government, municipal, city, however we are going to say that, understanding or involvement to make it accessible. And so that folks with lived experience can have access, and that's like built into our process. So the four of us, five of us aren't just sitting here throwing things around on an agenda and whipping through them. It just feels super uncomfortable.
Yeah, I like that. I like having also something like built into our process of like when there is an agenda, right? Because this is the same agenda that we see is the same agenda that the public sees. So even having something on here, maybe that speaks to, you know, typically, like public comment. What does that look like? If somebody wants to come in public comment, do they have 2 minutes? Like, we know that because we had to like do the training and sit through this and read the packet and everything like that. Are the people that we are wanting to engage with us know that? So like having that information out readily available. How long does it take for this typically to whatever, or the process by which, this or that? Yeah, having that just right out there, I think is also a really important way to build trust too, because we're just being so forward facing that, because we don't have anything to really hide. Yes, there is like confidentiality stuff with like Robert's laws and rules of order and stuff like that, but outside of like the work that we're actually doing, we don't have anything to hide. So why not put it out there and be as transparent as possible, really build that trust and hold to the fact that like, yeah, Greenfield, we are the gold standard right now. And why don't we show people what that looks like in action? I think that's really important.
Jeannie?
So you made great points. That was very interesting to me. And because there's people that are coming now and serving on boards and commissions that have not done that in the past. And that's one of the reasons why on all of our boards and commissions, we have a city liaison. And I would like to say, when we had our very first meeting, we did bring the clerk here. And we have Anna here, who's she has attended and is very well versed in open meeting law and will guide us and keep us out of trouble at many of our meetings, but I think you should take a deep breath and a sigh of relief knowing that, because she is going to be here at all of these meetings with you, and she knows an awful lot about all of those things. I don't think that we should, well, not we should, that was not a bad, let's take that back. I can't take it back when I said it, but hopefully that will ease some of how you're feeling about that. And also time may ease some of how you're feeling about that. It actually took me, I don't know, maybe about a year and a half before I was making motions by myself at meetings. So part of that is just this, but I'm going to give this to you. Okay. I'm going to give that to you, but I wish I had one for you, but I don't have an extra one. This is a little guide for making motions and things. And if I find another one, I'll try to bring another one for the next time. It's hard to go to public meetings for the first time. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have one for you. I really am. But anyways, I love you both the same.
I'll share.
Okay. And so it's very hard, but we have Anna here. So, so there's all these meetings, and we're all going to do the best we can. They're ordinary citizens, and we're just called up to try to do the best thing with some of this. I'm a little nervous with some of these things too. As we're sitting here, I'm thinking, hey, I've done my best with this. I had to make terrible decisions, sort of terrible, heartrending decisions around burials and cremations with parents that were crying, and I did my best and hoped that you would be supporting me. And then, just as an FYI, I alerted, so both of the larger funeral homes in town, but not the third one, they know, so word of mouth travels. And I'm a little worried, about our internal process with this, and hoping that you'll support me with the next one, because what will probably happen is the funeral directors will know, right? And I will want them to be improved because I've got a big heart. I've got the heart of a nurse. I will want that to be approved, and it won't be a 30-day process, because that's not how those things go. And we are ordinary people. And in this particular instance, what's going to happen because of these, because of terrible things that happen, is there's quite a bit of money. And you are citizens that came forward, and some people with lived experience. And trust me, I'm a little bit more comfortable with a microphone than I was a few years ago. But remember that I was practicing with a hairbrush. Okay? This is when I was running for office, practicing with a hairbrush. Hated the hairbrush, don't love a microphone now. None of us are perfect. We're just trying things. We're trying to put things together. We're making motions, and then we're checking them. And if you have something that, like you say, I think we should be sending so much money towards, I don't know, Justice Inc. I just made that up, and I hope it's not a real thing. And I think we should be doing this annually. Then Anna's going to write that up, and she's going to say, okay, and then this is what happens with all the boards and commissions. Then the mayor, I call myself, I'm not Albert. I say this a lot. I'm not Albert, meaning Albert Einstein. I'm not Albert here. Send it to Gordon, the attorney, and we check it out this way. And this is a new board. So, and I won't be at all of your meetings. I will be here periodically as time allows. We are going to get this right. And if we don't know that it's right, we send it off to the attorney, because you're going to be making decisions on the funding. And they will be very good decisions, because remember, you as a committee decided something that's being emulated, not just through the state, but the nation. You're rock stars. You're rock stars, and you're nervous with the microphones and the motions, just like I was. The person who couldn't write in Brisbane, she's now the mayor, okay? It's okay. You're going to make great decisions on where this money should go and on the things that are going to be done. And it's going to be okay. And we will all double check and triple check ourselves. So um, none of us knew how it would be, how it should go. The first time I ever had to run a public hearing, I had everything like written out. And then we went to hybrid. And they're like, okay, now you had to start the meetings by yourself alone with a hybrid meeting. Like, oh my God, oh no, I have to do that. Then I was the chair of the planning board and I was going to do screen sharing. I took an hour and a half time from an employee to do screen sharing. And in the end, I chickened out. I was afraid I couldn't screen share. So it's like imperfection. You're going to do fine. And I, like whatever job that you do, I'm sure I couldn't do it. I'm sure I couldn't, but you're going to do great at this. And we're there in the background, but you've got two employees. Normally we have Michael and we will be supporting you with the financial part. We will not let you make a mistake because we will be in the background checking on the legality of any of the funding expenditures that you decide. And you stood by me when I had done some things because I wasn't sure, but I was sure morally and ethically that it was the right thing. And I was like, oh, please. And this board stood by me.
Thank you,
know.
Jenny, and we appreciate that you stood up with courage, and, because there wasn't a process. Anna?
Yeah, so while Gams was talking, I jotted down a couple questions. How does public comment work? What does the agenda mean? How are meetings run? What do all these words mean? I would like to take the task of trying to translate some of this to newcomers. And the mayor has this new initiative of a Citizens Academy. We really are trying to make this more legible to the public. I think one of the most anxiety-inducing moments when you approach something new, like city meetings, is that moment where you don't know what you don't know, so you don't even know what to ask. It just feels like a big question mark. But these types of questions are really helpful. And I have to say, this is just something personal about me. I come from a professional background where there's a very toxic tendency to not want to explain things that you think other people already understand because it's viewed as condescending. And I'm trying to unlearn that because that's not how we learn things and how we share information. But these types of specific questions are really helpful to me because once you've done a million of these meetings, it's obvious how public comment works. It's not obvious if you've never done it before. So same as we're funneling some of our proposals through Sarah, funnel these types of questions through me, and I will meet also with the communications director, because this is his wheelhouse, to think about ways to present that better to the public. And I guess my point is there's no dumb questions because you either know or you don't know. And if you don't know, you can't know what you don't know.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's super, super helpful. And it holds the space of what was brought up by the other members of getting folks to understand, what the heck we're doing and what does that mean. I've been thinking about public comment for a while since we put it in there of, knowing that it's 3 minutes. And at least that's how council does it. We can create a policy. It's 3 minutes or at the discretion of the chair, so if there's a full agenda meeting and there's 1,000 people in the room, the chair might say you have 1 minute, or the chair might say you have 2 minutes. But I appreciate what Anna said and all of you said, because it has to be public facing. We have to make sure that it's accessible. So thank you, Abby, for bringing that up. And also the clerk was not present in our first meeting. She was not able to. No, it's okay. She wasn't able to. So maybe we could try to get them for December because November is the election. So they're going to be up to their eyeballs in voting stuff. But I can put the request in if the commission wants them to come in, and we can carve out some time that we can have dedicated questions for either Kathy or Quinn. How's that sound to people? That sound like a good idea?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Abby?
Yes, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. I'm
Can I
gonna-
just say one more quick thing?
Sure.
I don't like flying the plane while we're building it. I think that's an awful way to do things. I think that's why our systems are broken. I'm not even kidding here.
I know.
I've been looking at this a lot. Like, I think a lot of our organizations operate like that, and there's an opportunity here to do it a little different.
Yes.
And so, like, I'm not saying that we're not gonna have to fly the plane as we're building it for some things. Like, obviously, we're going to have to. It's the way things are in our society, but we do have an opportunity to do things a little different here, and that's what I'm suggesting.
Excellent. I concur. So for this one, I don't think that we're gonna be making, we've made a couple decisions tonight about this, that Anna's gonna take care of what she offered to. And we're gonna invite the clerk to come in. And I wonder if we can build that into, because we know that, the folks that are on the commission right now, when their term ends, some may not return and some may return. So, building it into our infrastructure to have the clerk or the assistant clerk here for, when we do that transition, to new members, like when it's like when the 2-year cycle ends, because they're 2-year and a 3-year cycle for seats. So when the 2-year cycle ends, the incoming new people from those seats, we can make sure that the clerk or the assistant clerk is here to answer questions. And then set up with understanding the clerk schedule and assistant clerk schedule, maybe they can have a certain time and a day of the week that they could dedicate like an hour, people could drop in. I'd have to ask Kathy and Quinn. I don't have, their consent on that, but I'd be willing to ask them that, so that way it's not just, December's meeting. If you have a question, Abby, that you could go into that drop-in time slot, and meet with them via Zoom or whatever, because I know you're super busy, and so are they. So just, meeting people where they're at and finding multiple ways to interact with a clerk. Yeah, you can send it, you can send an email right now. You can do that. If you have questions for the clerk, absolutely. And I encourage folks to do that. No, to what?
Quinn?
To Quinn or Kathy. Kathy's the clerk and Quinn is the assistant clerk. So either one. They're both busy with the election. Yeah, they're both very busy, but Quinn offered to meet, one-on-one with anybody from the commission, that they have already said that. So yeah, it's Quinn, at this point. So I'm feeling like, we could table the rest of this discussion. May I have a motion to table? Okay, may I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, and then the last item on our agenda is mine, and I'm just going to say what it is, and I want to say how I'm feeling. Discussion on formalizing the requirement for opioid use and prevention commission approval for all settlement fund expenditures via home rule petition. It's,
yeah, just
Yeah.
point of clarification. I think we're actually on new business C.
we addressed that with Ginny already. We suspended the rules.
Oh, we did.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
That was just to hear from the mayor.
Oh, so,
Can you read it?
yeah.
I don't have an agenda.
no, that's okay. Let's read it. No, thank you, Yams, because I thought we were done with that one. Discussion on incorporating a periodic financial review of abatement funds received by the city. The review would present total income, itemized expenses, and timelines for future allocations. Yeah, go for it.
I thought we were just hearing from Ginny but I didn't think we were discussing it yet, so.
Yeah, that was my thinking, is that, Ginny was here to talk about it. The financial director would have been here to, kind of help a discussion, but
Did we make it? We didn't make any decisions, right?
no, we have not made a decision. It's as a discussion, so there's not any decisions on that. Other than that, I think Ginny was gonna provide some of the
Oh,
the Excel,
drop-down.
right? And the drop-down list for the municipal. So we did discuss it. Is there any further discussion? I just want to, open up the table. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
No, you're all right.
I guess the only further discussion, like, I would like us to see, like, us to think about what our review process is gonna be. Like, now we have gotten information, right? But we didn't talk about what our process is gonna be. Are we gonna have, you said you could do quarterly or you bi-yearly reports, but we can go on, now we know that we can go on Mosaic website and look at it. And then some kind of, can't find my notes, what I was writing, but, some kind of check and balance of our own. Like we know what we're, like I said before, we know what we're spending. We know what's supposed to be coming in, so we can have rough estimates.
Mhm.
We didn't like, so if we can think about, I don't know if you want to do it the same way, like send an email to you of a processes we're thinking about. And then I'm not clear what happens after we send the email to you. Like, are you pulling everybody's suggestions together or we're just, like,
No.
how do I know what Yams and Anna are thinking?
Well, because of the open meeting law.
we can't talk about it
that's
outside
why.
of here.
So you can't discuss it. So it's sent to me and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile it and it will go on the agenda for for next month. And then next month's agenda, we'll talk about, and you'll have the same, the packet that you get. You'll have the agenda and I will create a document that has all of
The
the,
proposal,
yeah.
I got
Yeah,
you.
yep. No, it's okay, because
Thank you.
we have to have an open, transparent process, so I appreciate your questions, because that way, the public also knows, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing, this is how we're gonna do it.
But we get to see each other's, even though we're just sending it to you. Once you do the agenda, so whatever proposal I send you.
Yeah.
Anna, Yams, Jenny, you'll all be able to see it in the packet, is what you're
Yes,
saying,
yes.
before the meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And Anna is the one who compiles that for us, so thank you, Anna. She's done a really good job. And Jenny?
I just knew that you know how to find that, but I definitely think you should be asking me or Stephen for like either a twice a year or quarterly report, because
Right.
that's the accountability
Twice.
part on us. So, I've actually seen what you're talking about, but I think you knew right where to find that. So I was yielding to you if you would mind doing that. And then I just knew it wasn't up to date today, so I didn't bring it.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
I would agree.
And then you can decide, yeah, I do really, but I think that, like I said, I used to do that for disability access. So you all decide and you can tell or ask, whatever, however you say that. And then, of course, we would oblige your commission.
So are we ready to suggest maybe a quarterly report from the city? Are we ready to? Or not
What I
yet?
was suggesting is that we do an email to you again, like we
Okay.
sending you the email with like what we think of this, what we think of that.
Okay.
After talking about all this stuff, so we have time to process and.
Okay, no, that's
And
totally
then
fine.
send you an email and then we can see what other people are thinking without spending another hour here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That's what I suggest. Is that a motion?
So are you
tired.
motioning to table this till next month for the rest
Yeah.
of the conversation?
With emails going to you so that we
Yes.
can we don't have to sit here
Yes.
yeah.
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, then we are on D now, which is our last item, and I'll just repeat it again for the record. Discussion on formalizing the requirement for opioid use and prevention commission approval for all settlement fund expenditures via home rule petition. I'm going to table this. This is my agenda item, and it requires a little bit more work before it gets presented to the commission. So that'll be the same process. It'll be part of next month's packet. I'll do, more of an understanding of why it's there and maybe why we should look at it for the money, because it's a way to kind of create a way for us to be much more than, right now we are, we can guide Ginny and suggest Ginny. We have Ginny right now, but in 4 years, we may not have Ginny. And, I did do some research into, hey, how could we change that? And how you do it is through a home rule petition, because it's a longer conversation, but I'd like to table it for next month. Because it really just puts us more into that, and it's by approval of the commission, not by suggestion. So there's a little language change, but it's goes to the city and then the city council, and then goes to the state. So it's a large process. And I'd be happy to table it because I think it's a lot right now for us to be looking at. But I'm a visionary and a forward-thinking person, and I'm also a systems person, so I think of things in this way, like little pieces that are missing. So can I have a motion to table this for next month?
Motion to table new business 6D.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor? Alrighty, so that is the last agenda item. The next scheduled meeting will be on November 17th, 2025 at 5 PM at the John Zahn Center. May I hear a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, can you just tell? We're sending 3 emails, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
So decided
Yep.
one for framework,
Yeah.
one for
Outreach.
outreach or getting a communication flow.
Yep.
And then one about, the spending,
Yes.
not the spending.
The financial review, the
Right,
part C, the financial review of abatement funds, that one.
but then that was it.
You're welcome. Any more questions before I entertain a motion to adjourn? Someone needs to make the motion.
Adjourn.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 7:26 PM.